And to touch that, to understand that place of knowing about these connections is in a sense some of the biggest part of my work. And it's like I said, it's been very various. If you look at it, it doesn't make any sense, a lot of the things that I've done, because you don't have the background. And so to try to explain the situations that I found myself in over the years is a feat. And I could write books on that, and never get the part that I feel is really important for humanity out. And so I have to balance my effort. But right now it's sort of a weight type of thing. The solar cycle, the source of the ancient movement has been halted because of the corruption, because of the issues with the understanding of the higher order path, of the higher order structure of the world. The world that most people live in is a poisoned fairy tale. It's a fairy tale that's been intentionally poisoned with a bent towards a three-dimensional mindset, towards this finite being with no soul that only exists for a certain amount of time. And it encourages greed and self-service because there is no continuity, because you're only what you do after you leave here. You're only what you've done, in a sense, or that you're only as much fun as you have while you're here. These are terribly, terribly dangerous ideas that I can't seem to get through to a lot of my contemporaries, and even my parents. I have a horrible time with my parents, them being these materialist, atheist, sort of new, the new old world, the materialism of the past age, the concrescence of that materialism, when most people don't realize the extent to which the air was poisoned, and people smoked. People were allowed to smoke in public, and they would smoke inside buildings and even in hospitals, and they would pollute the air. And part of the reason they would do this, and part of the cover for this, is that the cigarettes were sold at the gas stations, and the exhaust from the cars was choking everyone. It was killing everyone. And the excuse by the oil companies was to prop up the tobacco companies. And so there's this inherent greed that falls out of this relationship that the corporate culture has led humanity down. And Terence McKenna says that the dominator culture has led humanity down a blind alley. And that's completely true. It's totally true. That's what's happened. We're in this world that we're forced to believe. We're forced to lie. We're forced to deceive in order to do the things that we have been programmed to believe that we need to do. And it's destroying humanity. And it's manifesting right now in the loss of the higher energy, the higher forms of energy. And the process as it goes through these worlds, the process as it manifests in these worlds, is that when this light is revoked, this is the same thing that taught me about the nature of the electric motor. This is the same energy that moved through the heavens to manifest through our wires, that allowed me to understand these things. And so I have all these gifts that I could potentially give humanity in the form of these inventions that are presently being withheld because of the nature of humanity. And so this is a very, very tough situation, because most people, if you tell them the story, they'll try to commit you. They'll try to put you in an asylum, because they've been deceived by the interests of these established, corrupt, malevolent forces. And so that's probably more about me than you wanted to know. But I think that if people don't clean up their act, if people don't figure out how they actually relate to the physical world in a way that considers the organism as a whole, it considers their individual parts as sort of organs. You know, we can't have a large collective organism with all the same organs. We would be lobotomized at that point. There wouldn't be a brain to such a body. There would be no brain. There would be no intelligence. There would be no reproductive organs. And if you look at the one of the more serious issues that I've seen recently is the quote-unquote Terminator seed that Monsanto has inserted into their seeds that recently failed in Africa. 82,000 hectares of corn failed to produce kernels. Now you could argue that this corn should never have been planted there in the first place, and that there is some higher order that's interceding, no pun intended, to wrest the naive manipulation of the so-called genetic codes from the hands of humanity. And the pollen that is produced by this bioengineered corn has already sterilized a lot of the bee population and gotten rid of a lot of the butterflies. It's destroying the natural ecosystem that has said to have evolved over thousands of years, and this is the world that we're living in right now. And so from that perspective, from the things that I see about the nature of these issues, it's very difficult not to want to interfere. But that's not my job. Interference isn't my job. And so if you want to be my friend, that is a very, very difficult task. It is a life-changing experience to be my friend.